Welcome everyone to Angel Heart Radio. Today is the Angel Code. Journey into the words whispered to me. What the code is and how the angels revealed it to Anayah Joi Holilly.
Angel Heart Radio programs should not be used to replace your legal or medical advice, nor your own sound judgment. In truth, nothing can dim your magnificence. You are a divine spark, a universal light. You are here on purpose. You are part of a divine plan. And it's our joy to support you. We're here to celebrate you. Welcome to Angel Heart Radio. Powered by love, Angel Heart Radio is brought to you by AngelLight777.com. A divinely ordered life with spiritual teacher Deb Goldberg on Angel Heart Radio starts now.
Welcome everyone to a divinely ordered life on Angel Heart Radio. I'm Deb Goldberg, your host, and it brings me great pleasure to be here with you today. And it's an honor to serve you in the highest way that I can by bringing you messages of divine love and blessings for your life. You are dearly loved, cherished, and blessed. And I am so excited to have our beautiful Anayah Joi Holilly, founder of Angel Heart Radio, certified intuitive, and are just getting ready to be a published author of the Angel Code. Welcome, Anayah.
Oh, Deb, it's so exciting. I just was checking to make sure we're on my page on Facebook. Hello, everyone. This is an amazing experience. It's not at all like I thought it would be. I thought I'd be much more scared.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really incredible. Deb, you know this. You've published beautiful books yourself. It's such a personal journey, isn't it?
It is totally a personal journey.
Yeah.
And for each person, they're going to have their own adventure.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
It is an adventure, isn't it?
It really is an adventure, and it's an adventure of the sort that I would never have expected in my life. And people who are familiar with me now can't quite, they wouldn't be able to picture me back then. This is 20 years in the making. A lot's, happened for me in the last 20 years. I've grown and developed and recognised so much over these last 20 years that I didn't have any idea of at all when I started this journey. And in fact, when I started the journey, I didn't know I was on a journey.
I totally understand that.
Yeah.
It is amazing how different it is for everyone. Mine was really abrupt. It was like, here it is. And when here it is, I was like, what is this? What is this? But to unfold into what was already planned for you is so beautiful.
It is. That's a really beautiful way of sharing that. It is so beautiful. It's that leap of faith over and over again sometimes, Deb, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's totally a leap of faith. I totally agree.
Yeah. And I remember the angel saying to me, all is but a leap of faith. For what else is there?
Mm-hmm.
And that really helped me throughout this entire journey, because this leap of faith was a leap of faith into myself. I'd never consciously worked with the angels before this.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, when I started, I didn't know I was working with the angels per se. I just knew that when I followed my process and got quiet and asked them what they wanted me to know today, I felt really amazing. I felt a peace that I'd never experienced. I'd had been in so much turmoil and angst and confusion and despair, a lot of despair. So when I felt this level of peace, it was incredible. It was like, it really was like the hand of God just picked me up out of troubled waters and just set me afloat in a beautiful sea of love. It really was as powerful as that for me. Yeah.
It's so beautiful, and I feel exactly the same way. Exactly the same way. It is like being turned into the hands of God, just wrapped around you into an ocean of love. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe you can talk a little bit about, what the codes are, and how they started to come to you, because that was a huge journey in itself.
Yeah, it really, really was. There's a lot to this story, so I'm just going to trust that what I need to share with you today will come through. Some of you have already heard me say that, and I've mentioned it briefly, that I didn't realise I was actually taking something profound down through my writing. I just got a diary, 2001, it was January, and I began to write. And the thing about my process was, everything I do was atypical. I always had to be laying down. My eyes were always half closed. It took me into that place. I guess because I've got such a busy mind, looking back now, it took me out of my mind and helped me center into my heart. And I would just write whatever word popped in. And when a word came and I'd write that down, there was the longest time between words. There was just this space, this quiet, this gentle, this love. And I stayed there until the next word came in, and so on and so on. And sometimes it would take, I don't even know how long, but well into an hour and a half to take a message.
Wow.
So it was a really deep meditation. And in the beginning, Deb, I remember the very first message, I thought, well, that doesn't make any sense. And I didn't even read it. I just closed the book, put it away, and went, well, that didn't make any sense. But the feeling was so amazing, so I kept going back and back and back and back. And as you'll see through the book, because they were all dated when they came through, there was very, what's that word? Prolific times.
Prolific. Yes, they are.
And then there was space at other times. And when I actually read the first message and then another and another, just about fell off my chair, really, actually just about fell off my chair. And they were talking about things that I'd never heard of back then.
Right.
So as I began to read, I began to understand that something major was happening. There was something magnificent going on. So I just stayed with it. And in the book, from the first message to the last, and I explain in the book how the last message actually became the first, January 2001 to March 2002. Oh, Luann's with us. Hello, Luann. She writes 3 pages daily. Oh, that's beautiful.
That's awesome.
So I began to realize, and then eventually I began to realize, this is the shortened version, of course, but eventually I began to realize there was a much more to this than words on a page. And the feeling of it was unlike anything that I still to this day, it's unlike anything I experience when I'm working with God and the angels. You know what I'm talking about.
I do. I
There
do.
is depth and a breadth and a magnificence that can't be replicated in human terms,
I totally agree.
And so I don't know how it happened, but there was a publisher in town. And I've no idea how I came across this publisher or even found out they were calling for submissions. So I was terrified, but I rang and I made a meeting and I went into the city and I began to tell him about the angel code. He didn't get it at all. I just had one little bit. And he said, well, have you got any other books? And I said, well, I am thinking about writing another book, which is going to be my second book, everyone. And I told him the premise for it. He said, go home and write that and then come and talk to me. And I did. And that took me on a journey then.
Mhm.
He introduced me, you know, sashayed me around, spoke to me like I wasn't even in the room, to other people about me, kind of like it was a very interesting look into the world that he was inviting me into.
Mhm.
And at the end of the night, he did 2 air kisses and basically said, welcome. And I knew right then, this is not for me. This is
Mhm.
not for me. And I said, I really appreciate everything you've offered me tonight. And I just left. And then I got in touch with him. I said, my journey's a bit different. And I really want to thank you for helping me to see that. And that took a lot of guts on my part because I had
Mhm.
to really trust it. I had an opportunity right then, all those years ago. But I knew if I took that opportunity, I would have to change things. I'd have to change myself. No, that's not true. I would be expected to change certain things about myself. This is 20 years ago, everyone. You know, almost 20 years.
Mhm.
And it was wonderful to finally, I'd always been the person to change to fit everybody's idea. I'd always been the person that wanted so desperately to be accepted that I would change myself no matter which way or how painful it was. And this was the first time I stood for myself in honor of myself, and it was amazing.
What a beautiful story.
It was fantastic. And I'd actually forgotten about that part of it until the other day.
Wow. Well, I didn't know there was another book.
There is another book. I haven't. The one I wrote is not going to be the one that I published, but it's the basis for it.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it's called An Ordinary Woman's Journey into Gratitude from Despair to Delight, I believe is the subtitle.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
It's going to be beautiful.
Mhm.
And the angel code is actually like, I have never read anything like this before. I don't know whether you have, Deb. No, I
Mm-mm.
haven't.
No.
And it's taken a lot of courage to stand in the truth of this book. And over the years, I altered it. I'd snipped out bits. I thought, oh, that doesn't make any sense. And I'd cut it out. And I'd look at it and I'd go, oh, that's not right. I know it's not right. I had to keep coming back to courage and faith.
Mhm.
And I said to the angels one day, there aren't a lot of passages that don't make sense, but there are a few.
Mhm.
Not very many, but there are a few in there. And there's one almost at the beginning of the book, and I remember thinking, if people read this, Belinda Brown, hello, you gorgeous woman. And I remember thinking, if someone reads this, they're going to think I'm an absolute idiot. So I said to the angels one day, I don't know what to do, angels, what do I do? And they just quietly came in and said, do you trust us? And I said, well, yeah, I do. I said, what doesn't make sense to you will make sense to someone,
Mhm.
and they'll need it.
Mhm.
So I put it all back in. And it took 7 years to transcribe the messages, because it's amazing. We can't actually proofread our own material, I later learned, because our brain will substitute what's there for what we believe should be there.
Mhm.
And so understanding how incredible the angels are, it was that going over it with a fine-tooth comb, reading, rereading, I realised the code was really becoming a part of me over that period of time. So now we're such friends and such companions that I'm much more able and I'm much more ready to take this journey. And what the code is something I'll share with you as well. But it's that being ready, Deb. We
Mhm.
often don't think we are, but we are.
Mhm. Yeah.
It was given to us, so of course we're ready.
Yeah, it's interesting how we can create so much angst about something. Here's something given you divinely, and we're questioning we're questioning what it is and
Yeah.
whether whether it is time for it or whether it's not time for it, and whether you're able to manage to put it out. Um, and there's no right or wrong. For each person, it's going to be their own journey. Like I'm sitting on books that keep developing with me.
Yeah.
And, I've had other people say, well, get them out. And I'm like, they're still cooking.
Yeah.
They're still cooking. I don't have to get them out right now. They're growing with me. And it's really interesting to listen to other people's point of views when it comes to that. But if I felt they were ready to go out, they would be out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
And the thing is, people, it was the same for me. People can put a lot of pressure on you. Sometimes it's in a loving way,
Hmm.
right? And I don't mean or anything, but I can remember saying, I will know when it's time. I will know. I
Hmm.
will know as surely as I know how to breathe.
Yeah.
And my dear and good friend, who now resides somewhere amongst the stars, Chevelle, I remember him teaching me, and he was the most magnificent astrologer and person and light and joy. He was so joyful as a person in the years that I knew him. And I remember him saying to me, darling, everything, everyone, everything has its birthday.
Hmm.
And it's up to us to stand in honor of that birthday.
That's so
And that
beautiful.
really helped me. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yes, yeah, Belle's agreeing. She can see that too, and she's saying she's ready too, which is really awesome, Belle.
Hmm.
Having this journey it's a matter of, I've realized over the years, Deb, it's a matter of trust. We're taught not to trust ourselves, the world, each other, the future, the past. Oh, that didn't really happen like that. You're just exaggerating.
Hmm.
We're taught not to trust, and that journey is so powerful because that is the invitation to learn how to trust. What
Hmm.
we know in our hearts, deep in our soul, is true for us. And each person must undertake that journey in their very own way. And we
Hmm.
know that. And
Yes.
it's never right and it's never wrong. It's never too fast, never too slow. So if you're struggling, you take your time. Allow yourself, give yourself that space, because in that space there is magnificence. In that space there is God, creator, unconditional love, great spirit. Yeah.
Such beautiful advice. And not a truer word was said.
So years into the process, one day when I learned how to speak with the angels and receive from the angels, and I refer to them as the voiceless voice in this, that's how I felt about this book. It was the voiceless voice. A word would appear, but I'd also hear it, but not with these ears.
Hmm.
It was that sure knowledge of, and the tone. Oh, the tone of this voice is so beautiful. Anyway, I began to receive visions, and I had received visions as a child, many, many visions, but I'd learnt to distrust them. And of course, the kids all thought I was weird at school, and I didn't have friends, and no one wanted to, spend time with me. And it was really, it's a lonely, lonely journey sometimes. But what I began to learn out of that was, if I changed myself, if I ran with the cool kids or ran with the pack, or in my case, I got involved with, I went to a particular school, which I won't mention, and the first thing that happened to you when you went to this school is you were beaten up. And so every day I was getting beaten up, every single day. And eventually I just lost it and I fought back.
Hmm.
And I didn't get beaten up anymore because it was the toughest girl in school. So then I learnt from that I just get tough, right? So this
Hmm.
journey was leading me into this amazing contrast of the difference between having strength and being tough. And so that took me down some other roads. And I began to, like so many people, like most people I think we speak to, Deb, I began to deny everything about myself. I'm not hearing that, I'm not seeing that, I'm not feeling that. And I tried to shut out all the angels and all my guides. And I'm so grateful for that now, because I know what it's like not to have that. And I know what it's like to have it.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing replaces that knowing. Nothing.
I agree.
Yeah.
Nothing replaces your relationship with divine love.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing. And that relationship invites so many other beautiful relationships in. Mm,
It certainly does.
mm. So I had this vision one day. Gosh, it was fantastic. All of a sudden, and this was when the angel code was still a pipe dream at that time, and the angels popped in about 4 weeks ago, and they said, Anayah, remember, all of this came to you, all of this information was pre-harmonic convergence. And I went, wow, the whole planet's energy was different when it came through. And it's very humbling to be given something to share, as I know you know, Deb, to share that makes not just a difference, but can make the difference in a person's day
Mm-hmm.
and begin the journey for them into their own magnificence. Because this is not about us. This
Mm-hmm.
work actually isn't anything about us. I call myself now their faithful scribe.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave me that. Once I agreed to keep it all in the book, they said, now you are our faithful scribe. That was so
Awesome.
beautiful. Yeah, that's
That's
lovely. So
beautiful.
I saw this woman in my vision, and she walked into a bookstore, and this woman had lost all hope. Her faith was gone. She was very, very, very lonely and really in despair. And everything about her was almost covered in grey. Ah, got it. Thank you. um, and she had on, and this part of it doesn't matter, everyone. It was just the detail that things come to me, and it was a representation. But she had on this long knit cardigan that was buttoned up the front, and it was like an, a a grey blue, and she had a knit, like a tweedy type of skirt on, long pencil skirt, and her shoes, and she had hair down to about here. It was kind of like a fair just hanging, and she was walking through the bookstore, and she just got led to the section where my book was. This is how I know it's going to be in bookstores.
Mm-hmm.
And people are going to just love it. Um, So she walked in and she reached out and she just found herself touching books, and her hand just got led to my book, and she took it off the shelf and she just found herself opening it. And all of a sudden this light poured out of this book, and musical notes were dancing within this light.
Mm-hmm.
And they began to settle around her and in her auric field, in her heart, in her voice, in her mind. And all of a sudden, you know how you see in the movies, and the colour just came up, and it was beautiful. Everything was so magical. And she had hope again. And I still didn't get it was the code. I still didn't get it. And it was a friend, Wendy. Wen said to me, oh, I can feel there's a code in here. She was reading an early draft. I can feel there's a code. And then I told her about the vision, and it all came together. So sometimes what we're given makes no sense, but it's the feeling of it, Deb, isn't it? When it
Mm-hmm.
feels right, you just got to let it percolate. And this
Mm-hmm.
was percolating for many years.
Yeah. Such a beautiful vision.
It
And
was.
I've read it, and I've had the pleasure and privilege of reading it, and it's absolutely beautiful. And when I was reading it, I'm like, I could see at first why you're saying, well, maybe it didn't make sense, but it made perfect sense to me. And it made perfect sense to me. And I thought this is like a code of how to go about walking your path. It's a code, you're saying, of bringing love and light through and letting that love and light change and shift somebody.
Yeah.
And when you read it, you do feel that. And so, but it's also like, it to me, like a rule book of like, here's a little handbook of things to know about your
Yeah.
adventure here. And
Perfect.
it's so amazing because there's some of the things in there like I never even thought about.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I know, right? Me
Uh-huh.
neither.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just so beautiful the way it comes through each person so uniquely. And it is such a gift, Anaya. It
Yeah.
is a beautiful gift,
Yeah.
and a gift of love. And that love continues on eternally, right? It's your
Yeah.
gift, it's your legacy.
Yes,
Hmm.
absolutely. It is my legacy and it's my joy and it's my privilege. And sometimes, good morning, Carol Ann. Carol Ann's with us. Yes, Carol Ann, she's read the book. It's amazing. And it's she knows it's from the beautiful angel. It's, you know, Carol Ann works with angels herself, and it's fantastic. People, even people who don't work with angels, get that energy.
Hmm.
Oh, okay, I'll tell them about that. So, oh, this is the coolest story ever. I love this story. The thing to know about the book is there's unusual language in it, isn't there, Deb?
Hmm. Yes, I had to look up some words because I said, is that a word?
And
And I looked it
some of
up.
them aren't really, and some of them are.
Well, some of them I didn't think they were a word, and then I looked it up, and it is a word.
Oh, it is a word. Oh, see, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
Oh, wow,
like
that's
a
amazing.
light, a light.
Yes.
I
Mm.
never heard that before.
Alight, allow. There will be a glossary in the book, everyone,
Hmm.
because some of the words have an obscure meaning as well. And what they've revealed to me, that why they've done this is it's an invitation into our language, into our gift of language. So even if you actually cannot speak with your voice, you are using language all the time with your hands, with your body, with your mind. And it's a gift for us to delve into our language and what it actually means to us. And there are messages in here that I've read countless times, and yet every time it's so fresh and new and gorgeous in its energy, in the code. It's like jigsaw. It's like if you imagine you get a jigsaw puzzle and you throw it up in the air, all the pieces are floating around. What the code does is it automatically knows, because you are already divinely guided and orchestrated with the pieces that you need at any particular time. And it's like they slot in to parts of us and then give us what we need. And this, they said that for some, the flowering will be instant, and for others it will open over time. So
Hmm.
it's beautiful and perfect for each person. So there will be a glossary in the back of the book, and this is going to be, I think, very helpful to people. So one day a neighbour called me over. Gosh, this is about 10 years ago, I suppose. A neighbour called me over and he said, did you hear? Kids next door smashed in the neighbour's front door and stole their PlayStation. He said, you want to lock your doors and lock your windows. I said, oh, thanks so much for sharing with me. But Archangel Michael's always with me, so I know, I know that I'm always fully protected. And I actually meant it. I meant it. And I came away feeling pretty good about that, standing for who I am, speaking my truth. And then the angel said, go and ask the kids next door if they did it. I went, oh, for God's sake, I can't do that. And they said, go and ask them. And, they're always screaming up and down the street, in the front yard. It was that kind of energy. So I went over to the fence and I said, excuse me. And the kind of ringleader looked at me and said, yeah, what? And I said, neighbour tells me that you kicked in the front door across the road and stole the PlayStation. I was just wondering, is that true? And they said, well, yeah. He said, but don't worry, we wouldn't do it to you. And I said, don't you think I've got anything worth stealing?
Oh, God.
I don't even know where these words are coming. Well, I know where they're coming from. And I got chatting to them, and I said to them, listen, guys, I said, I don't know whether you can help me out here, but I work with the angels, and they're giving me this book, and it's got some really unusual language, and I'm wondering if, like, young people like you would actually understand what the words mean. I wonder if you'd let me read a little bit to you and see what you think. And they went, yeah, I suppose we could do that. So I said, it was a very hot summer's day, and I said, why don't we sit under the trees in my front yard? It was the most perfect picture, Deb. I later realised. Here I am sitting in front of these beautiful young people who don't even know how amazing they are, right?
Right.
And I'm reading messages to them. And one kid says to the other kid, oh, you do that all the time. And he said, what do you mean? He said, oh, you always know it's me on the phone before I ring. And we had these conversations, and their faces were just, their faces were so true and shining. And all of a sudden it just clicked with the older one. We've had enough of this now. We're going. So I said, oh, I just can't thank you enough. I really, really appreciate it. But I really enjoyed my time with you. And I said, every time you look across at this house, I want you to remember, or at least to know, that there's an adult here, a person here who believes in you, and that you are already amazing, and you can do anything in your life that you want to do. And you deserve absolute happiness and peace. And off they went. And later
Oh
on
my
that
gosh.
afternoon, one of the kids was riding down the street on his bike, and he calls out and he went, thanks for the messages. Thanks for today.
Oh my goodness.
Who knew that could happen?
Right? Right?
It was very powerful for me, and it was just a really great physical, almost proof of how these messages actually affect, and it's got nothing to do with Megan, everyone.
Mhm.
I'm just the lucky sod that's been asked to bring them through. But the way these messages are, and I will be recording them as well, there's something in their resonance as well. And they've told me that even everyone who reads them, even if they just hold the book and never read it,
Mhm.
hear them, it's going to bring something to them that they've previously been unawakened to. And
Mhm.
like you say, it is a bit like a guidebook, isn't it?
Mhm. It certainly is. And you know what words came to me thinking about what kind of book it is? You're calling them angel codes, but we also have words like light language, and we have words like activations. And
Yeah.
that's what they are. It's the light language activations as codes in these beautiful quotes or poetry. It's really poetry.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
I've never understood poetry. I still don't. Yet, Luann saying, interesting, I often look up words and meanings when writing. I do too, Luann. I love language so much. And Belle says, you warm my heart on a cold day. Well, you warm my heart every day, Belle.
Uh,
So it's about so much. There's
mhm.
so much that's provided to us in so many ways that I never knew. I always thought I was alone for so long, alone, lonely, and just plain broken and wrong.
Mhm.
And I mean, Belle's known me for a long time, and she's seen part of my journey. People who've known me for a long time. There were a lot of people who I knew back then who we don't really, you just don't resonate with people anymore. And yet at the same time, what a gift every single person's been to me.
Mhm.
And I hope I've been to them. So
I'm
having
sure.
this opportunity, and sometimes I get a little bit overwhelmed with what privilege actually is and what privilege I've been given.
Mhm.
And I never, ever knew to even feel or think that way before this. to the depth that I do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is beautiful. It is a beautiful gift. It's your gift.
It's my gift.
Yeah. It's your gift to bring forward for humanity. And I believe these gifts are for ourself as well, too,
Oh,
because I know
absolutely.
everything that comes through is, I know it's focused also at me. It's
Mm.
focused at me and for me, which is also focused for everybody else.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. And, you know, it's beautiful because it really then kept, I mean, I know that there's no separation between any of us, but it's different now, Deb. I can actually understand it in a way, a really deep way that I never did before. And so these codes are for us all,
Mm-hmm.
because without us experiencing this, we don't, I'm not quite sure of the words, but without us experiencing this, it's almost like we can't pass it on,
Mm-hmm.
because you can't give what you don't have.
Mm-hmm.
If someone said to me, now give me $1 million, I'd be like, well, but if someone said, you know, can I have $10? It's a lot easy, you know, here you go. That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
We can't give what we don't have. And how beautiful it is that we're given these things, and then we are so willing to take the plunge, take the journey, trust, faith, and share it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is.
And yeah. And I'm publishing with Balboa Press, right? So I'm self-publishing,
Mm-hmm.
and I never knew how in God's name I was ever going to pay to have this book published, because I knew that's how the journey was going to be with this book. I'm standing for this book. And so how do I get this money? What do I do? And through the codes and the book, they've helped me to see that I actually don't have to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when I open in a certain way, it's when we step into that quantum field. Wow. So I go down to the mailbox one day and there was $5,000 in it, a gift from someone. And it just so happened I'd received an email saying that it was just under $5,000 for their top package. I've got no idea how they found out I was even writing a book.
Mm-hmm.
But they have people who do that, obviously. So immediately, and like, I had no money. And it was like, what could I do with $5,000? And I thought, I knew exactly what I'm going to do with this money. And I paid for it right then. And that was 2015.
Wow.
So it sat there for 5 years, paid, and without any action. Because one time, and I wasn't ready. And
What
it
a
was through,
beautiful story.
yeah,
An amazing story.
it's
And
cool.
and it shows you that it's never too late, because there's no such thing as time, and it's always now.
Exactly.
2015 is still the same as now.
Exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, exactly
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Just the way we construct time so that we can understand it, it seems like this linear platform. And of course, we know it's not, even if we don't understand how that works. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm understanding that so much more. And they showed me the other day, it's talking about soul fragments. Carol Ann and I are going to do a show on soul fragments and where our past life experiences fit in with soul fragments. And they showed me that, because all our past lives are happening right now, right? Everything's now, as you just said. And they showed me, if you go to a carnival or a circus and you go to the House of Mirrors, have you been in the House of Mirrors?
Mm-hmm.
And you're right in the center, and there's all these reflections of you. Some are really wide, and some are really tiny, and some are really long and skinny, and there's all these different reflections, many, 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 and yet you're in the center. So if that part of us in the center is our source, is us, our
Mm-hmm.
connection to God, who we are, God, right?
Mm-hmm.
Creator, universe, whatever. But all of those reflections look so real, and we can even touch them. I can touch this lamp, I can touch the microphone, you know, I can touch
Mm-hmm.
my face. But they're just reflections. They're just aspects, reflections of the truth, which
Mm-hmm.
is the center.
Yes.
That made it really easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a hell of a lot of sense
Yeah.
in my 3D world mind.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really good analogy because the world is like a funhouse of mirrors. Yeah. Everything is a mirror reflection of distortion or whatever, from possibilities, one extreme to the next. Yeah.
May I just say, my heart's with you, Belle. She has to go to pay respects to a dear friend who's left the planet. Love and blessings to you and to everyone connected and feeling this time. Thank you for being with us. It's beautiful.
God bless you.
She said she needed this love, this connection to take with her today. So that's beautiful, Belle. You were here just at the right time, weren't you? So, yeah, I love it. Carolyn says, you are a gift to us all. Remember your magnificence. That's gorgeous. Thank you. And I am more and more remembering my own magnificence. Some days, not so much.
Yeah. Each day, hopefully it gets better and better, that we get more grounded into our understanding who we are and it being able to stay longer.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't even matter to me anymore when I'm sort of in that. Whereas before, I think I'd failed and I'd slipped and I'd taken a backward step. And I don't feel like that because I just know it's just a moment. And all moments have a purpose.
It's a beautiful way to look at. That's about allowing yourself to be your full self, is whatever it is in the moment.
Yeah, I was
Whatever it
on
is
the
in the
phone with
moment.
Carol Ann the other day, sobbing in frustration. I'm so just frustrated. You know, because I had to take time out and go to bed for 2 days, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do fun things. But we're constantly being called to stand for ourselves. What do you need today? And I know you know this journey. When you need to pull back, pull out, even when you have to cancel an arrangement you've got, to look after oneself is one of the most important dates we will ever have.
It is. It is listening to yourself and what you need. So I would like to take some time to read some of your beautiful messages.
That would be wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So would you like to start off, Deb?
Sure. There's several that I picked out, but we'll take turns.
Okay.
Abundance awaits. Be willing to embrace this abundance. Never lose sight of this truth. Sometimes perspective loses shape. Define. Definition adds substance. As one defines, one shapes thoughts previously hidden from view. Part the mist, it is there, waiting to be claimed like a lost child, needing to be taken and enfolded in the arms of loving acceptance, claimed, acknowledged, accepted, home, home at last where it belongs, with you.
Oh, my heart gets so full when I hear these beautiful messages, even after 20 years. How I'm going to record them, I'm not quite sure, because it's, you know, when your heart gets so full, it just, yeah, home.
Home, yeah. And that's the way I feel when I read them.
Yeah.
It's just delightful, beautiful wisdom and light to just keep soaking it in and listening to what it's saying. Rereading it as many times as you need to try to help get the fullness of the code.
That's right, because it's not just words on a page.
Mm-mm.
And as you get that fullness, what I found for myself as I get the fullness, when I'm drawn to that message again, there's more. There's there's more depth, there's more breadth, there's more joy.
Mm-hmm.
There's more. There's always more. This will be a book that people, they've shown me, will continue to read for the rest of their lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they've said to me, not one corner of the planet will be left untouched.
Oh, so beautiful.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
They've actually called this book a blanket for the weary.
Oh, oh my gosh. I know it is like having divine love speak to you is the most beautiful music that you've ever heard in your life.
Yeah.
It's just enchanting.
Yeah. Enchanting.
I have
Enchanting.
another one.
Oh.
The journey brings with it times of trial, sometimes of times of anxiety. Let these two go hand in hand, for not only are they companions, but each in the need of the other to allow the messages of fear to be heard. Now, isn't that a different perspective from
Oh.
what we all hear about fear?
I mean, fear was always something to be feared. And yet, working with the angels now, and they help me understand that fear is my friend. There's so many revelations in fear. And we know that once we face our fears, somehow the power they had over us just is gone. We don't even have to make it go away. It just dissipates.
Mm-hmm.
And I had so many fears. Oh, my God. And people who are like familiar with me now can't even imagine. But if you take what you think of me or you see in me right now and flip it, that's where I was when all this started coming through. And it really, it not only changed, it changed me. It changed me. And because I was changed, my life automatically began to change. I didn't even have to change it.
Mm-hmm.
There was no struggle to change my life anymore. There was struggle to accept and allow and be willing,
Mm-hmm.
but there was no struggle to try and change my life anymore. Imagine that. Incredible.
That's what love does. That's what divine love does.
It's
It
exactly
gives
what
you the
I love
courage. It gives you
does.
the courage as it keeps transforming you.
It does. And the courage then I found, Deb, was something, courage was always something I felt I had to dig deep for or look for or try and get from somewhere. But what happened was for me, what the courage just was. It just is. I find I can take courage, work with courage, hold courage's hand, and sometimes say, I'm really scared, I need you to carry me, and my courage will carry me.
Mm-hmm.
And other times it's really easy and I forget that I'm even working with courage.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. It's amazing.
It is amazing.
So, yeah.
In fear, you may find a friend. For the face that turns toward you reflects truth. Hidden is true. Cast your doubts aside. Allow the light of fear to wash toward the reef, for beyond the jagged rocks of self-doubt, self-pity, and unlovingness for your own precious child lies a safe harbor, where the warm waters of self-love, acceptance, and a gentle heart beat in time with our own dance, a dance all our own, of our own, ours alone. For each and every heartbeat is an affirmation of your own true self, of your own wonderness, unique, sublime, a creation of magnificence, not to be questioned, abandoned.
There's a settling in this energy, isn't there? All the racing thoughts and fears and cares and worries and concerns somehow just settle.
It melts your heart.
Melts your heart. It's gorgeous. Imagine. Can you imagine? I know you can, but can you imagine as I began to really actually comprehend what I've been given
Mm-hmm.
to share?
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly the thing that seems so important, like the money, that $5,000, well, I've spent more. I've spent, I don't know, another $2,100 or something. I've spent money to have my book featured in their catalogue for 3 months. And I've also spent money on, I can't remember what it's called. It's an insurance, so that if booksellers want to have it in their store,
Mm-hmm.
you can buy this insurance, which is a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But it means that if it doesn't sell, they don't lose. They get the money back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the thing that happened with me, Deb, about this was so amazing, because I realised, and it's so deep and true for me, if this book never makes a single solitary red cent, it doesn't matter.
Mm-mm. No,
This is a
because
contractual opportunity, but it is part of my soul contract to bring this to the world. That's the joy and the beauty. That's the richness and the abundance and the riches that I'm reaping already, and it's not even out yet.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful way to settle in and really look at what you're doing and the meaning behind it versus what it's going to do for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because we do get caught up in that, what is it going to do for me? And really it's already done what it's needed to do for you.
It's doing it every day,
Mm-hmm.
every moment of my life. And
Mm-hmm.
even just holding the book influences my energy
Mm-hmm.
because they're not words on a page. Now, Carol Ann, bless you, my love, is going through it because, as you've seen, Deb, there are things there like, oh, the spelling's wrong, or, does that make that, what's that doing there? And it really needed to be, so I'm not having the normal editorial process.
Mm-hmm.
So Carol Ann and I are working through this together, which is just such a blessing. And she's helping me see I've got extra spaces or, those sorts of things is wonderful. But to bring it together in a way that is just true and harmonious and honest and God-given and joyful, and then just presenting it to people to say, this is your gift.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is required of you. Nothing is required of you. It's a true and honest gift.
Mm-hmm.
And for each person that chooses to have this book in their life, or the recording, because I don't know where, but I know I'm going to record it. It's just going to do something in their world that they may never have believed was even possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that will change the course, not only of this life experience, but all of them, because we know it's at least 7 generations forward, 7 generations back. It just changes. It's like wings.
Mm-hmm.
You have your wings all tucked behind you, and then when you
Mm-hmm.
see them unfurled, oh, wow, look at those wings. And those wings actually didn't come from our back if we imagine ourselves with wings, but they're actually coming out of our heart and back. It's very
Beautiful.
cool.
Beautiful.
Oh,
So, Anayah, do you want to read a couple of your favorites?
it's just like I just say, which one do you want me to read? And I've
Mm-hmm.
opened the book. Oh, I love these guys so much. Okay, so the thing to know is I don't seem to be able to read them without having that overflowing heart. I'm still working on integrating that energy because it's so beautifully huge. But remember I was talking about they called it the blanket for the weary?
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what they've opened it up to? Okay, so I'm just going to go to the manuscript and go to the page. Oh, we're all the way down to 17th of January 2002 because it's going to be a lot easier to read. So just give me one little second, guys. 17th, where are you? So I love this. They're all dated.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it really easy to go back to the ones you want to go back to and to really go, wow, look how long ago that message came in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so relevant and powerful and amazing. And okay, we're up to 17th of January. Did I say January? Yeah, January 2002. Oh, crikey, I've got a way to go yet. Hang on, guys. Even as I'm scrolling through, all of these messages are sending energy out to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's so fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can just put the date in and find it. 17 January. And I've listed them as like 17 January 2002. So there won't ever be a confusion about which month and date because you guys do it, slightly differently to how we do it in here in Australia and other parts of the world. So it brings us all together. Okay. Take a breath, everyone. This is for you. Straight from the angel's heart into yours. The truth seeks its path. The bends and curves allow much to be hidden from view, but nothing to be so simple as to have no other opportunity for growth. Change, this way or that. Abide by the truth at all costs, for this is the way to the future you seek. A powerful ally is truth. Seek it, guard it, speak it, whisper it. Allow it, for it is mighty, power and a beauty in its own right. Clear and true, like the wind, it carries forth many messages, many changes. Go with them, learn from them, abide by them. Your course is set. Plot your course. Follow the guide. Look, do you see? Do you feel the hands that guide you? Stop and listen often. There is much to hear, much to share. Cast your net wide. What do you reap, dear one? A shallow dish holds its share of treasures. Empty the dish often, make way for the new. Hold on to nothing, for in this way nothing is all you will succeed in obtaining. Scarcity is but a state of mind, not a state of being. For to be just is. Be what you will, for you will it to be so. Allow abundance, truly it is there all the while, available for those who would see beyond the veil of fear. Fear not. As you weave, be aware of the transformation of the process. For it is the cloth of life that is passing through your hands. And as you add your texture to the weave, you leave a blessing for those who follow in your wake. Fear not, precious one, you do no harm. 'Tis but a moment in time. And as the moments blend, allow the truth to dawn upon you. Though the spirit is willing, the hands oftentimes forget to weave, but sooner or later, the cloth is once again taken up and the weaving begins anew. 'Tis a blanket for the weary. The weave of love and comfort is indelible. Cast it about the shoulders in times of trouble. Feel its gentle power, its soothing presence. Each and every soul has, at one time or another, woven their magic into it. Its unity is its gift, not visible to the eyes of all, but surely to the hearts of the weary, of the wretched. Carry it forth. Sometimes it's so beautiful. That I just weep with joy of it. Okay. Carry it forth. Offer it to one and all. It only grows with use. With its unfurling comes peace to all who wear it. It will absorb the burdens of many and grow more beautiful for the experience. Its colours more vibrant and delicate at once. Seek not wisdom, for wisdom finds its way to you. Instead, be the seeker of truth. Offer it as a balm for the weary of heart. Be gentle. All children need to feel loving arms, to see approval and love in the eyes of another, reflecting back warmth and honour. Then this in turn will be mirrored onward. And so it goes from hand to hand, each one leaving its bounty in the weave. And as the cloth grows in beauty and size, so too does its power and healing. Spread the cloth wide, leave not one corner unfurled.
It is, I don't know another word other than beautiful that describes what that is. And it's talking about you. It's talking about allowing yourself to unfold into the beautiful being that you are. Because as you do that and live your life, you're weaving this beautiful blanket of love or into the tapestry of eternity, really.
Yeah, exactly, into the tapestry of eternity. Oh, I love that. And that message, those references were are a continuation from a message that may have been months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they have that way, don't they? They'll talk about one thing and then it's a beautiful message and complete, all on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden it's back, mentioned with extra context or something else to think about, or there's a lot of honour in these messages, and it really helped me when I read this. And you can imagine now when I started to read them, that message probably might have taken even up to 2 hours to receive because the words weren't connected at the time. They are now.
Mm-hmm.
But when they say you cause no harm, 'tis but a moment in time. And so it's a real it's a call to stop judging ourselves for the terrible things we may have done or thought or said. It's a call to let go. It's a call. We do no harm. It is but a moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
And as we let that go and we take the cloth up and weave some more love into it, and this is what is blanketing the earth.
Mm.
It's a way of us being a part of such deep healing. And it was through COVID-19 that I had the clear space, because I wasn't doing so much, to realise, it's time. The call's here. It's time. It's
Mm-hmm.
time. And I woke up one morning and I went, Balboa, I think it's time. And I went to my email and there was a message checking in, seeing how things are going with your manuscript. So I was like, right, yes, it's time. I'm on
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How beautiful.
Yeah.
Everything is always lined up, pre-planned. The way has been paved, and it's just allowing us ourselves to follow it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And look what happens when you follow it.
Look what happens when you follow it. It's really extraordinary, and it's completely ordinary at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's such
Yes.
a duality, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, oh, that's right. I did write that book. Did I? I just completely forget about it. It's really amazing. And then you pick it up and realize how powerful it is and how beautiful it is. And then it's like gone.
Yeah, exactly. Because we're just here also living our regular everyday lives, aren't
Mm-hmm.
we?
Mm-hmm.
And because the thing is with our work, our books, they're not separate. They're a part of that tapestry. They're a part of the weave. So some days the concerns are going to be all about getting the shopping in or whatever, not having a fight with someone or fixing an argument you've had with someone or whatever it might be. And some days the journey is about the magnificence of spiritual awakening and the flowering in our heart. And it's the thing that I grow to understand more and more through the code is it's all exactly the same, because we're here to experience it all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we're here. We're not here not to have any of these other thoughts and feelings. It's part of the journey. It's just a moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep weaving.
Mm-hmm.
Allow the weave. Drape it about your shoulders, that beautiful cloth. When you're really struggling, it's there. Just drape it around the shoulders. It's a blanket for the weary, for the wretched. Sometimes I can feel very wretched. And then other times I feel like I'm flying, it's so stratospheric.
Mm-hmm.
But it's learning that balance, isn't it, Deb?
Mm-hmm.
So we're not too high and we're not too low.
Right. I'm
Mm.
just trying to stay
Yeah.
as smooth as we can.
Be with it. It's about being
Yes.
in it
Mm-hmm.
and having that experience, because it feels very safe in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that safety is actually the truth. And there's so much in the mirror house reflecting back so many scary things, but none of them are real.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they feel very real to us. I'm not
Right.
diminishing what's happening to anyone. Please understand that. But it's not our truth. And we certainly don't say, oh, it's not real, I can do what I like. That's not real either.
Mm-hmm.
It's about love and honour, always love and honour ourselves and each other
Mm.
and everything and everyone else.
Yes.
Our Mother Earth.
It's regarding being regardful of the experience.
Mm. There's a lot to learn while we're
So
here.
much. So much. Yeah.
I look back at some of my experiences and I just feel horrified that I was so unaware and so casually dismissive of people. Oh, they're just an idiot. You know, that type of thing?
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to stop beating myself up for all of that and to realise it's just a moment in time. And now that I can see the contrast so clearly, it's like that door doesn't even exist anymore because I've been healed through that.
Right, and you know, I saw a post not long ago that reminded us that you're looking at an aspect of yourself that didn't know at what you know now, and it's okay to just allow it and love it.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
Just to,
very important.
yeah,
Mm.
because those things will pop up as we go along the rest of our journey. What we know today will be very different than 10 years from now, right?
Right.
Yeah, so
Then you
so we
go,
might look back at this time and go, wow.
yeah.
Interesting.
And it's all good. It's they just said, all children need to see love and honor reflected back in the eyes of others, and that's our child, is our inner child.
Yes.
So we look at ourselves.
Yes.
This is all
Regardless.
about us.
Regardless of how old we are, you're
Yeah,
looking back at your 40-year-old self, your 60-year-old self, it doesn't matter.
doesn't matter.
It's all needs to be embraced with love because that's all that there is for you. That's all that exists.
It's what
So,
is. Yeah.
mhm. So, Anaya, this has been absolutely beautiful, and I'm so grateful to be celebrating this with you. A pre-celebration of you bringing your gift to the world, and you are a gift to the world. So you're the gift, and this is the treasure that came through you.
Wow. That's gorgeous, Deb. I love that. Thank you.
Oh,
And
you're
it's so
welcome.
beautiful for me because you're the very first person that I've shared. Some of this has never been shared before.
Mm-hmm.
Some of what I've shared, I've never shared before. And I'm so grateful and blessed and happy and just so joyful that I got to be with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a joy because for me, you have inspired me to get out of my comfort zone and take on this podcast and grow and watch myself unfold. And now watching you take another giant leap and unfolding into bringing this treasure out it is a privilege for me. I'm grateful.
Thank you. And it's been a real journey. Angel Heart Radio is almost 10. We'll be 10 in September. And that has been an incredible journey. And, it's been so wonderful for me, Deb, to watch you become so courageous to take the courage that was always there and spotlight it for us, for all of us. We have then all of the benefits of you when you share and give and reflect and receive, and it's just so wonderful. The whole journey is amazing. It
Mm-hmm.
really is still amazing to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's going
And
to be
all
really
this.
interesting to come back in a year and look back, because the book will be on the shelves. It'll be,
Mm-hmm.
it'll be really interesting to come back in a year and I'm getting, the download, big downloads coming in. Thank you to everyone who's been a part of this and been a witness. Today you've all witnessed the birth of the Angel Code and for journeying into the words whispered to me. I want to thank you all, whether you're watching live or you're watching later. Thank you for being a witness for something so beautifully magnificent. Mm.
It is beautifully said. And for you inspiring people to know that this is the way of it.
Yeah.
This is the way of it.
They have such a great way of saying things, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
And before I started working with the angels, it's amazing. I couldn't express myself. I never knew what to say. you know, when you go sit there to write a birthday card, what do you say? So you just say, happy birthday, love, Anayah.
Uh-huh.
But working with the angels, I can now express myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is a pure joy. That is a pure joy. So when the next book is going to be me as well, there'll be angels we're sharing. And then I've paid for it already. And then a few days later, I'll wake up, oh my God, what have I done? What was I thinking? What was I thinking? So right there, it's like, okay. That's just my ego telling me how important this is.
Mm-hmm.
And how perfectly on path I am.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yes.
thank goodness to know that.
Yes. Thank goodness. Right?
Yeah, no, because then the panic can stop and I can just say, well, okay, I'm feeling that panic, but it's not real. It's not
Right.
really, and it doesn't need attention. I don't need to give it any attention because it's not real.
Right. Right.
That's great.
What a milestone. What a milestone to do that. So, can you please tell people how they can reach you?
Yes. Now, everything is always at angellight777.com. There is a sign up on angellight777.com. I am redirecting the angelcode.com, but I don't know, I didn't do something right. I'll get the tech people to sort that out for me when I get off the show. So angelcode.com will be up, but the Angel Light 777 is everything. That's the umbrella. It's the first thing the angels asked me to create here on earth, right? As a reflection of them. And it's been a real journey that in itself, because there's no advertising. You know, they said this is a gift. We want it to be a pure gift. Not to say that things won't be available for sale, because of course they will, like the book. But it's a gift to you, so you can find everything there. And you can sign up, which just means that you want to know as it progresses with the angel code, when it's available, you know, just things like that. You won't get spam, and I won't be telling you every 5 seconds about the book. I mean, I just don't do things that way. So you can do that on angellight777.com. So the journey is really exciting, and I'm really grateful to be able to share it with you guys. It's really fantastic.
Thank you. And thank you for blessing us today and every day, because you bring forth such love and light. And I'm just so grateful to share this space with you.
Thank you, Deb. Thank you so
Welcome.
much. I just love you so much. There's not enough so's.
Aw, I feel
But
the
I do.
same.
So grateful.
Feel the
Thank you.
same.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, when in doubt, never underestimate the power of prayer. You are being listened to and heard throughout the universe, and it always responds with infinite and eternal love. Remember to go inside and listen through your heart for the whispers of heaven. I love you, and God bless you. Bye bye.